We got the Garden State Grapple coming to New Jersey's top arena, the Prudential Center. Let's go.
Prudential Center, I think it's awesome. I'm a Jersey guy through and through. It's literally like probably 15 minutes from where I grew up.
When is Rutgers going to put UPenn on the schedule, on the calendar? When's this match going to happen? We're chomping at the bit for it, and we think you're ducking us.
It's a really good matchup. We're going to wrestle them at the Prudential Center with Drexel. It's part of the Big Ten EIWA Challenge.
If New Jersey talks that big game on how much they love wrestling and how much they support wrestling, then they should be getting behind these events.
What's up, everybody? John Forster here, breakdown from the barn. We're on episode 30. We got some big guests here coming in to talk about the amazing event coming up at the Prudential Center. First off, I got Jordan Pagano, former Rutgers wrestling standout, as well as Dylan Wanagiel, VP of Sports Properties and Special Events at the Prudential Center. How you guys doing today?
Doing good. Excited to be here.
Doing great, John. Thank you for having me.
Nice. So I'm real excited about this. We got a big event coming up at the Prudential Center. Jordan, why don't you tell everyone, it's been a couple of years since you graduated from Rutgers. You're still there with the program. Why don't you tell people, what you're doing in life these days?
Yeah. So, I graduated in 2020, the year NCAA's got canceled, and I haven't been able to get away. I've been with the program since. I finished my grad program, my master's this past May in sports business, and doing another year with the wrestling team right now. I love it. Just working as kind of a support staff to Coach Godot, Coach Pritzloff, Coach Pollard, Coach Middich. Anything they kind of need done in the office that maybe they don't want to do or they're too busy to do, they kind of give me that responsibility. And just wrestling with the RTC. So with the Scarlet Wrestling Club under Coach Buxton, who's been great. He's been a great addition. And just doing the same stuff I was doing while I was in college, really, except just getting paid to do it now. So it's awesome.
Nice. You're living the dream, dream. And Dylan, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? I know you work for the Prudential Center now. Spent some time with Madison Square Garden, which is probably the most famous arena in the world. So why don't you tell us about that and how you ended up with the Prudential Center?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, John. Currently in a role of vice president at Prudential Center, but I did spend close to 25 years at Madison Square Garden. That's where I first touched the sport of wrestling. I had launched Grapple at the Garden back in 2012. Which eventually led us to getting NCAA D1 Nationals in 2016. And then, post-pandemic, wound up jumping across the river, playing a home game for the first time in my life, lifelong New Jersey resident, and now very excited to be with Prudential Center. Been there about 18 months now. It's a great company.
Nice. So that's awesome. So why don't you tell us about the Prudential Center itself? We know the Devils play there and have a lot of great events. Why don't you tell us about the history and I remember being there watching John Jones win the UFC title way back in the day. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the events that occurred at the
I was there when John Jones beat Shogun Rua, of course. So Prudential Center is just last month it celebrated 15 years of being open as a venue. So it's a very exciting time for the company. So not only celebrating Prue 15 right now, but also the 40th year of Devils hockey. And the Devils, as we sit here, have won 9 in a row, and I think are now up 4-1 over Montreal. So about to make that 10 in a row. Have top 2 record in the East right now. So the exciting time for the building. A lot of buzz around the Devils, and last year I launched along with all my coworkers Garden State Grapple to kind of build off some of the things we had done at the Garden. Had a really successful first year, and we're excited to have year 2 of Garden State Grapple now with 8 D1 teams and the whole Big Ten versus EIWA theme coming up on December 4.
Yeah, so why don't you dive in a little more? How'd that come together? Getting the teams, getting the event going. How did that come together a year ago?
Sure. Well, Jordan mentioned Coach Goodale, who's really become a great friend, someone who, quite frankly, the first time I saw his name, I was a longtime reader of the Asbury Park Press when he was the head coach down at Jackson Memorial. And, saw all the great things he did down there, and sure enough, he becomes coach at Rutgers, and then I kind of transitioned into a new role at the Garden, and really started paying a lot of attention to wrestling and connected with him. I just looked it up. He invited me to Rutgers versus Lehigh at the Rack, February 19th, 2011. It was my first time attending a Division I dual meet. Mind you, this was a random Thursday night in February, and there were 5,000 fans there. At the time, Lehigh was 10th and Rutgers was 7th in the nation. Incredible excitement. And then a couple weeks later, I went to D1 Nationals in Philadelphia. And at that point, anyone who sees Nationals in person, like, it's just an unbelievable event. And you realize what incredible athletes these are. So even if you're not someone who wrestled, and I didn't growing up, like, you instantly realize, like, oh my gosh, these kids are incredible. Like, what can I do to help grow this sport? So that's when really I just went all in and started just kicking around ideas with Scott, and started off with Scott, who, even though he's a Jersey guy, he's a Rangers fan. So he really liked the idea of wrestling at the Garden, and he wanted to maybe just do like a dual meet, Rutgers versus a Big Ten school. And at the time, if I recall correctly, Rutgers wasn't in the Big Ten yet. But once I saw Nationals and 8 mats going at once, I was like, no, I want to do that. So we instantly started pulling together just a massive event, which at the time had D1, D2, D3, JUCO, even some high school stuff, youth stuff. We just threw the kitchen sink at it. And thankfully, it was really well received in the wrestling community. Had a great run over there. And like I said, eventually led to Nationals coming to New York City. And now, really just looking to replicate that same formula here in the great state of New Jersey, which has a very rich wrestling history and background and rabid fans. So I think we can do the same in Jersey.
Yeah, excellent. And that was a good Nationals to attend. You got to see the GOAT Jordan Burroughs win the national title at that one. That was a great event. So Jordan, why don't you speak to, you're around the team, how did the team feel about competing at the Prudential Center last year, and just what are their feelings about being able to be in such a historic arena?
Yeah, I think it's always really cool. And you always appreciate when you get to go to and compete in a place where professional athletes compete. Like I know for me, I wrestled at the Grapple at the Garden, and it was an awesome experience. And I wasn't even a starter yet, but Goody gave me an opportunity to wrestle against a guy, and it was awesome. And then my senior year, we wrestled in Michigan at the Garden, and it was like wrestling first, then basketball after, and that was packed. Like there were all eyes on you. It's really, really cool. So same thing with Prudential Center, especially it being, it being in New Jersey, it makes it all the better. And I know last year I was at the event. It was awesome. The guys were super excited. We had a great dual meet with UNC. I think because we were coming out of COVID still in COVID, we didn't probably get as many fans as we normally would. So I know moving forward this year, the place is going to be packed. And it's going to be loud. It's going to be a lot of red in there. And the guys are excited because they know that too. It was the same kind of thing with our dual meets at home. We weren't getting the same crowd, weren't getting the same attendance. Now this year is going to be packed. It's going to be fun. We're going to have the crowd behind us. We got wrestling 2 really, really tough teams down from Philly. So they're matches you got to win. So they're excited. The talk in there, they're excited to go back, and they're excited to pack that place up.
Yeah, so we're excited about that too, and it's cool to talk about the Madison Square Garden event. And funny, a little tidbit just got in my head. I'm going to go off script here a little bit, but they just had the UFC at Madison Square Garden, and I thought an interesting fact: Andre Petroski, he won his match, and he was actually the first match that wrestled at the Garden in that event, because he was 184. They pulled his weight class, and he actually became the first match to wrestle at that event. And then he just won a fight at Madison Square Garden in the UFC. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's neat.
Another thing that I think was pretty cool about him was his first amateur fight. I was actually doing the Joe Rogan duties on the mic, and I interviewed him after the match. And I'll tell you what, he gave the worst interview out of anybody I ever heard in my life. And he came a long way because he called out Bo Nickel after that fight. So he came a long way with his talk. He had the skills in his first fight. Now he has the talk. So, I'm excited to see if that fight ever takes place. But I thought that was a pretty cool a pretty cool coincidence, if you will. He was the first wrestling match at Madison Square Garden, and then he just won a pretty big fight this weekend at Madison Square Garden. So see how you go from the amateur to the professional ranks. So Dylan, why don't you tell us about a little bit of a different spin we have going on this year than last year?
Yeah, sure. I mean, just to touch base real quick on something you just mentioned, the UFC event this past Saturday. As I mentioned, I was there. I should go back to the person who connected me to Coach Goodale, for a phone call, was Frankie Edgar. And I had a chance meeting with Frankie back when we were all working to try and get the sport legalized in New York at the time. And he was so kind and hooked me up with Goody, and things took off from there. So shout out to Frankie, who's a legend and someone we all admire. In terms of this year's event, I have to give a lot of credit to Coach Goodale. He's always been kind of a visionary for like things that could help the sport, things that could grow the sport, things that fans would respond to. Remember years ago, him and Coach Ayers did that cool match out on the football field, and so he's never afraid to try different things. So he was really excited to, hey, can we pull together a Big Ten versus EIWA, and whether it's 4 teams, 6 teams, 8 teams, what could we do? Who could we get? So really, we just went to work on that. Last year was really cool to have North Carolina come up to the event. Naturally, Coach Goodale, he's very close with Coach Bono at Wisconsin, and Hofstra was very kind enough to come into the event last year to really solidified a nice field for us. But this year, different spin, was able to get 4 great Big Ten teams with Rutgers, Wisconsin, Michigan State, and Indiana, and then the EIWA came through with Penn, Princeton, Binghamton, and Drexel. So it's going to be awesome. 4 mats going at once, pretty much great dual meets and great action all around, and we're very excited for it.
Awesome. So Jordan, we touched on a little bit, big matches coming up. Why don't you elaborate a little more on that Penn matchup? I know they're like 20 and 21 in the polls, big bragging rights there. 2 very solid teams. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you're excited to see about that matchup?
I think that's going to be a great duel. I think it's got potential to be the duel of the year for us, for Rutgers. That's a really scrappy team. They got a lot of Jersey guys, right? And it's always personal when, when a Rutgers wrestler wrestles a Jersey guy, because you left, right? You left. We want to fence the Garden. We want to keep everybody home. That team's got a lot of Jersey guys. And I just think that there's been a little bit of talk between the UPenn wrestlers and the Rutgers wrestlers, and one of my good friends, Mikey Simmons, who's a Rutgers wrestling alumni, his girlfriend is Mackenzie Ravano, Lucas Ravano, national qualifier 165 for UPenn. So we always hang out. We're always with Lucas. He's always talking. The UPenn guys will be there, and it's all friendly, right? But they're always like, "Oh, we're gonna smash you guys. We're gonna beat you guys," and our guys are aware of it. Again, right? New Jersey connection. They're all friends. So I think there's a lot on the line here. And I think it's going to be an exciting duel because they're a really tough team. We're a really tough team. And there's going to be some really, really great individual matchups. And, Coach Goodell will always say, it's a 5-5 split. So you never know what's going to happen. And I think this is a duel meet where it probably is a 5-5 split on paper. And I think it's going to be fireworks. I think there's going to be a lot of energy. And I think the fans are going to be in for a good one for that. So that's, for me, that's circled in, penciled in as like the match of the year for me. I want to be there. I want to be on the side. I want to be yelling. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and that's good. There's trash talk at your age level. There's trash talk at my age level going back to the 90s when Penn had these monster top 10 teams, and they didn't want to wrestle Rutgers back then. But now, we have Josh Baylor comes on the show a lot. He's, he's been asking for it too. So we got some trash talk going from the teams from the 90s. You got the trash talk going from the teams of the 2000, and obviously, the wrestlers want to get at it. So I think that's going to be a good one. That's going to be a lot of fireworks out there. I'm excited for it. How about the Drexel matchup? Any matches in the Drexel matchup that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I think individual matchup wise, they got a really good 174 pounder who's a Jersey guy, Mickey O'Malley. He's tough, man. He's kind of like a Brian Soldano, where they got a great head pinch. They're going to squeeze you. They're going to choke you. They're going to try to pin you. And Jackson Turley, our 174, he's a kitchen sink guy too, right? So he's going to throw a lot at you. I think that O'Malley Turley matchup is going to be it's going to be high scoring. It's going to be really fun. 165, Evan Barzak. He's pretty tough for Rutgers, right? Connor O'Neill, national qualifier. Should be a good match. I think those are the two that stick out to me the most. But again, Drexel's got some Jersey guys on their team. It doesn't matter if the kid is 0-15, right? If he's wrestling Rutgers or another Jersey guy, it's always personal. It's always a great matchup. I don't know what it is, but it's for some reason these Jersey wrestlers can't leave high school. So there's always, whether it was a close match in high school and the kid in college, maybe he hit his peak, he plateaued a little bit. One guy's really good, one guy's not doing so great. Still close match. Doesn't matter. It's awesome. Yeah,
no, I agree with that. I'm excited to see Mickey O'Malley go at it, and Barzak. I always remember 2 years ago at Nationals. Name's escaping me for Pitt, the national finalist from Pitt. I mean, what's that?
Oh,
Wenzel. Yeah. I mean, he had Wenzel beat. I think, I think that was, that was a bad call at the end of the match. I think he had him beat, and Wenzel ends up going to the national finals. So I'm excited to see that one as well. Dylan, what do you think about, what this event means to New Jersey wrestling as a whole?
Well, when I do come across the Twitter wars and you see fans of New Jersey wrestling battling with Pennsylvania fans, Iowa fans, California, about who has the best high school tournament in the country, and that those that get pretty vocal, you see how passionate the fans of New Jersey wrestling are, and they steadfastly say that our state has the best high school tournament, and I agree. And what we're looking to see is, like, can we deliver that same energy that you see in Atlantic City to Newark, to Prudential Center, as Jordan said, a professional arena. I think that was the biggest takeaway for me last year, is when someone like Coach Bono and the Wisconsin wrestlers, first walked out onto the floor, and all the mats were set up, and we have the world's largest high definition video board as far as NHL, NBA arenas go. So we had all the logos flashing around, and there was a little bit of a wow factor, like, wow, this is cool, this place looks awesome. And it's one thing to have kind of that visual wow factor, but as Jordan talked about, like the energy from the fans, that's really what you need. I think it will be there, as Jordan talked about. I love to hear there's a little bit of trash talk going on, because the reality is the sport, all the wrestlers are very respectful, but the sport does need a little bit of that, a little bit of that UFC flavor of, I'm the best. I know I'm the best. I'm going to prove I'm the best. So I like to hear that is going on, because really we the fans, the energy. I remember last year when Coach Coleman Scott, and I'm very thankful that he came out last year. He didn't send out a wrestler that the fans really wanted to see wrestle against Rutgers, and the Rutgers fans were not shy about letting him know their displeasure about the selection he made. So, that's great, and we need more of energy, in the room. That's really what any live event is about, is that the fans, the energy, the screaming, you're getting goosebumps, high-fiving with strangers because something exciting just happened. Like, that's what we're looking for, and that's what I think will happen.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'll tell you, we bought like a group of 20-something tickets, just from the show. We sent something out, got a lot of people come in. We'll be right down by the mat. So
thank you.
people down there aren't going to be shy. We're no, you hear us at Jersey Mike's. We're not sitting there quiet type of guys. We're going to get rowdy. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to love it. And then, we had Joe Dubuque on, and I think Joe Dubuque said it best. We started talking about this event. He said, if Jersey wrestling wants to talk the game that, they're the best fans in the country, they need to come to this event, because this event's going to be through the roof. You get in the big arena, you got these teams here, and we mentioned all the great New Jersey athletes that are competing at that next level. So I expect this place to be pretty packed. So Jordan, you mentioned a name before, Brian Soldano. There was a lot of talk on Flow Wrestling this week about his debut and his style, and they said it's must-see TV. I think he's honestly, when you're talking about the wow factor and who you want to watch, and his style and what he's shown in his first couple college matches, I mean, you're not going to get anyone more entertaining than him. What do you have to say that people should expect from Soldano this weekend, or at the Prue Center?
I think one thing to expect from Brian, if you're a Rutgers fan, is an increase in heart rate, because he's going to do some stuff where he might go to his back and you're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then all of a sudden the other kid's on his back, and you're like, how does he do that? I mean, the kid's a freak. He's exciting. He's dynamic. He's just relentless. He's tough. He scores a lot of points. It's must-see TV. I mean, he's a tough nut. He's a Jersey boy, a High Point boy. He's got that farm boy strength, that little tough, gritty Jerseyness to him. He's going to choke you out. He's just, and he's got a smile on his face. Like, he's sick. He's sick in the head. We were wrestling today, and he's like, he talks, all he does for 90 minutes is talk crap to me. It doesn't matter if I put him to his back. If he's on his back, he's like, you're getting tired. You're getting tired. I feel it. You're old. And, if he takes me down, he's like, you don't got it like you used to. You don't have it like you used to. And I mean, he just talks and talks and talks, and he's got a smile on his face the whole time. He loves it. He's the best. He's the best.
Yeah, when I watch him, and you might tell me it's a little premature to make these comparisons, but what comes to mind is Nolf, Bo Nickel. I mean, that's the type of style that he brings. It's just ultra entertaining, and I do think that it might be a little early now, but I think in a couple of years he's going to be talked about just like those guys are. I mean, with that ability doesn't come along too often. So I'm excited to watch him. I think this year is going to be a lot of fun, and he's just an uber entertaining guy. It's going to be going to be good to watch him develop and to see him get into some of these matches. And really, what they were saying on Flow, and I agree with it. You look at who could beat Brooks, right? And someone that's really good, but has that straight up style. It's going to be very hard to beat Brooks with that. But if you have that funk and you could get that 4-point count, and it's something that you're not seeing, that's a legitimate threat to kind of beat Aaron Brooks this year, which, he's probably one of the top favorites to win the national title. So I'm excited to watch him. Dylan, let's kind of finish it off a little bit. I mean, what else could the fans expect, at the Prue Center? What could they expect? Any bells and whistles that they're going to expect when they come?
Yeah, no, absolutely, John. So we have, as I mentioned before, this is the home of the New Jersey Devils. So the whole team of event presentation executives and staff members who do all the event presentation for Devils, well, they're kind enough to work on this event with me, and they bring a lot of bells and whistles last year, in terms of the teams walking out onto the floor, smoke machines and flashy lights, and we got a brand new sound system. So we try and bring some fun and energy to the event like we would as if it was a big time NHL game. And we also have shout out to the Seton Hall men's basketball, who they play their home games with us at Prudential Center as well. And should mention that Prudential Center is part of Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment, and the Harris in that is our managing partner Josh Harris, who wrestled at UPenn back in the day. So we'll see if he's out to support his alma mater in the big matchup against Rutgers. But yeah, look, the fans. We got a lot of new food options too at the concession stands, and so it'll be 1 p.m. doors on Sunday, December 4th, 2 p.m. for the first dual meet, and next round following at 4 p.m. It'll be a great day of wrestling. So need everyone to help support the cause, support wrestling as we all join together our efforts to grow the sport.
Awesome. So one last question, Dylan. A lot of great moments happened at the Prudential Center over the years. We just talked about, John Jones beating Shogun Hua, some great concerts, all types of things happening there. What was your favorite moment over the years at the Prudential Center?
Well, you touched on, so all right, since I've been there as a full-time employee, recently we hosted the 39th annual MTV Video Music Award. So that was a massive event for me personally and for our company. Just to work on that was a real joy. But yeah, as a huge MMA fan, I was at every UFC at Prudential Center. So John Jones versus Shogun Hua, John Jones versus Chael Sonnen. Those were some cool events. Frankie Edgar versus Spencer Fisher back at UFC 78 back in the day. That was my first UFC event live in person. First time seeing Frankie fight in person. So a lot of great memories, going way back at Pru long before I worked there. Awesome, guys. Great having you on the show. Make sure you get your tickets to the Prudential Center. Going to be a great event. Make sure you follow the show too. Follow us on YouTube, on Spotify, anywhere you can get your podcasts available. Also, make sure you follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, stay up to date. We got some big things coming out. A lot of things happening. Following all wrestling, all MMA, and talk to everyone later.